Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to welcome you all to this very special evening. Tonight brings back so many wonderful memories, and I really believe they come alive here tonight, those memories. Every year we pause in our busy schedule to reflect upon, to celebrate, and to honor the past, and to honor the present with the Trainer's Choice Awards. Tonight, as I look around and enjoyed the horse show yesterday and today, this room is overflowing with brilliantly talented horsemen and horsewomen and outstanding owners to make this sport of ours so very special, and I thank all of you. Every year, the people that nominate choose the top 10 horse shows of the year. And from those top 10 horse shows, the trainers of champions at those 10 horse shows vote and elect the Trainer's Choice Awards that we're going to present first this evening. Before we start the awards, I'd like to thank the Linder family, the Lindsay Maxwell Charitable Trust, and the Wheeler family for their generosity in making this evening so special. Our first award this evening is the Horse Show of the Year, and a repeat winner, the National Horse Show, and Caroline Moran will accept. You sure can.
I sure can speak?
Sure can.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate all of the other nominees in this Horse Show of the Year. And also congratulate Mason Phelps and Jennifer Berger for a job very well done. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. We're going to get a little picture here.
Move.
You want us over here?
Do I have a...
And the Derby of the Year, again, another repeat, is the USHJA National Finals Derby. And Don Stewart's going to accept. We'll mail it to the other people. I'll try and get that.
In memory of Helen Linehan. Thank you.
Don, try to get it. The trainers elected the Junior Hunter winner is Boss, and Archie Cox will accept.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, what can I say? I'd like to start with thanking everyone that's here and the Wheeler family, the Linders, and Lindsay Maxwell for making this night possible. I'm only up here on behalf of this outstanding horse. About 5 years ago, he started his show career, and for the past 3 consecutive years, the members of this organization have voted him Green Confirmation, Regular Confirmation, and now Junior Hunter Horse of the Year. I'm just very fortunate to be part of his career, and the riders, Catherine Dash, Hunter Siebel, and the owner, Stella Wasserman, we're lucky to be part of his path. he gives every time he walks in the ring. 100%. He has all the attributes of a winning horse. He has heart, ability, and beauty. Thank you all.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. We get our picture taken here.
You hold, I hold.
You hold. Over here, out of the, yeah.
Better take two. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations. The amateur owner horse of the year is Catch Me, the Gotchman's horse, and Samantha's going to accept it. Say a few words.
Becky could not be here tonight, so she asked if I would read a few words on her behalf. I'm very sorry I could not be here at this wonderful event tonight. Thank you to this organization for recognizing hunter achievement. Thank you to Scott Stewart, Ken Berkeley, the River's Edge team, the Baxter Hill team for all the support. I'm most thankful for Snoopy for being such an amazing horse of a lifetime.
That's great. We'll get our picture taken and all that good stuff.
Okay, good.
You get to hold all of
All
that.
right, I got it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. The Green Working Hunter Horse of the Year is Wonderly and Betsy Parker. Congratulations. You can say a few words.
Thank you, everyone, so much for this tremendous honor for this lovely horse, Wonderly, whom I sometimes affectionately call Wonder Bread when he doesn't have a very good round. As many of you know, I spend a lot of time out of the country working in Africa for the United Nations. And I work in some of the poorest villages in all of Africa in sustainable development, and this work takes me away from the horse shows increasingly because I have more and more diplomatic expectations on me. So if you sometimes don't see me for quite a while, I'm often over there or working on things for the United Nations in Africa. But the amazing thing for me is that while I'd love to be with all of you and our blessed, wonderful sport, which is so therapeutic for all of us, there are people I can entrust my horses to that I could never thank enough. One of them, of course, is Scott Stewart and, of course, Ken Berkeley. And Scott, I just want you to know I could never, ever tell you how much I love you. You could never understand how deeply I do. You've done everything for me. And I could never thank you enough for your effectiveness, your kindness, and your love to all my horses. There are also other people that don't get remembered very often in our sport, in our world. And one of them who's been so important is here tonight. I would like to especially thank Sam Darling for all of the horses through the years I've had that she has quietly and effectively produced and gotten ready for the ring, brought to the ring, and helped us on our team immeasurably. I hope that we all can remember these wonderful prep and exercise riders because they tend not to be mentioned. Our grooms are probably mentioned a lot more than they are, but Sam Darling, you are a special, wonderful person, and I thank you for everything you do.
Get a little picture here. Sure. And the Green Confirmation Horse of the Year, Private Life, Betsy again. Congratulations.
Thank you. Again, I'm humbled by my horse receiving this award. He is a horse that, if anything could be faulted in this horse, it's that he tries so hard that he would give his life for you. He tries so hard. He's just a magnificent individual with great character. And there's one person who has spent a great deal of time and love and tenderness giving to this horse, preparing him, and even taking him in the ring for me, in addition to Scott Stewart, and that is our wonderful barn manager, Richard Slocum. I've known Richard back since he was a Virginian like me, and we go back a very long ways. But again, just like Sam Darling, he's one of our great team at River's Edge that very quietly and effectively and workmanlike brings the horses to the ring. And you're always delighted to see him and hear his running commentary on the horses as they go around the course. So thank you, everyone, for this honor.
Don't go too far. Okay.
And Betsy, we have another one for you. Regular confirmation is Lucador.
Thank you. Again, thank you for remembering Lucador, who is quite an interesting character and has very strong opinions, including he can fire so hard sometimes that he can really bounce anybody off his back. But he's a marvelous horse that Scott has done such an effective and beautiful job on. But I just wanted to shift gears for one moment, if I can have another moment of your time, to recognize someone in our sport that goes way beyond our sport and is being inducted tonight into our Hall of Fame, and who to me represents not only one of the greatest examples of horsemanship and just a wonderful human being, but someone who is a humanitarian at the very deepest level of being a humanitarian, and that's to Danny Robertshaw. Danny and Ron, it's been my honor and privilege to be associated with you guys. And to honor Danny's induction into our Hall of Fame tonight, I'd like to give Danny and Ron's a check for $100,000. Thank you.
The Trainer's Choice Award for the High Performance Hunter for the year is Catch Me, and Richard Slocum will accept.
Good evening and thank you all. Sam. Becky can't be here this evening, but she did send a few words in regards to Catch Me. She is so proud of Scott, the River's Edge team, Baxter Hill, and everybody that has brought this horse great success. He is a dream with the dream team. I could not ask for anything greater for this horse, as he has meant everything to me. I would like to thank everybody for this dinner, which is steeped in tradition, helps to recognize the classic hunter, the equestrian sport, and everybody involved. She says thank you, and she greatly appreciates the honor.
Here you go. I think we're going to
Can I
take our
get a picture with you?
I think so. There we go.
Thank you.
Congratulations, well deserved.
It's good. Thank you very much. Uh-oh. And I didn't bring my checkbook. Thank you.
No, we need to private. No, right now. We announce every year at the dinner here a little surprise awards for rider, horse, and owner of the year. And we start with rider of the year. And it says here, Scott Stewart. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the Show Hunter Hall of Fame for this great evening and everything they do, the staff at River's Edge and all the hard work that they do for me, and of course my owners for their continuing support. Thank you.
There you go. You got a little letter with it? Let's get a quick picture. That's great. Well done.
Great. Thank you.
The next one is the Horse of the Year Award. And that goes to Private Life. Congratulations. Go ahead, it's your mic.
Well, thank you so much. I had no idea. I was waiting to hear Catch Me's name. That's one of those horses that, you call the big one that got away. That was one of the ones I really wanted to have. But thank you so much for voting for Pelly this year, is his name. He is a wonderful boy, and we do adore him. Thank you, everyone.
We'll get another picture. We'll have a lot of pictures.
All right.
Super, thanks. Thank you. And our final Trainer's Choice Award is for Owner of the Year. I'm glad Huntlands is a big place. Dr. Betsy Parker, Owner of the Year. You got room for all of this?
Thank you so much. Again, all my friends and colleagues and everyone associated with this sport, it's been a long road up to this podium in my life of horses and accidents and riders and everything, like all of you, but I just want to genuinely thank everybody in this room for even imagining I deserve this. Thank you.
We're going to get one more. No, we can't get in front of that. No. Great. Thank you. I think as always, the trainers, they know more about the horses and the real good ones and the people and riders than anybody, and I thank them very much. I think they've done another amazing job. We start this evening off with the horses that'll be inducted. And Beverly, if you come up and do protocol, please.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm Beverly Burnett, and I had the privilege of working with Protocol, with Marty Fawcett, and with Danny Robertshaw for quite a few years. Sorry, Protocol was the best horse ever. Sorry, Betsy. But anyway, he had a try unlike any horse I've ever seen. He was a big-hearted, super smart, bad-moving, off-the-track thoroughbred who taught us all how to be horsemen. He jumped up so high and stayed in the air so long, you could have a picnic up there. He landed like a cat, soft and light, looking through the bridle, ears pricked toward the next jump. Rodney Jenkins once said, Protocol and Danny Robertshaw's handy round in the Classic at Washington, which he was judging, was the best hunter effort he had ever seen. A class that Marty Fawcett almost missed because my parents went off course driving her to the arena to watch him go. But that's the way Protocol was. He brought people together. Pro and Danny won many championships in the working hunter divisions, including 3 years straight at Devon. He was reserve champion with Marty in the large junior at the Garden, and he was also reserve champion with Marty later that spring. At the Garden won in the fall and at Devon in the spring. And all of those were without a single hack ribbon. So Marty won the Tiny Memorial Challenge Trophy for the best first junior hunter trip at Washington, her first year on him at indoors. Protocol is a unique but complicated horse. He took a fair amount of preparation, anybody want to laugh here, to get to the ring, and that took a team. Our team, or a pit crew as I called it, consisted of Marty, Danny, and me, along with a bevy of devoted people who helped manage his anxiety. If we did our part, he never let us down. At Upperville, our first big classic, Joey Darby helped Danny get him into the ring for the classic, and I was at the gate and I looked back and they were jumping out of the schooling area. It's tiny, right into the parking lot. But they wanted to make sure he was ready to jump from one ring to the other. So there was always something exciting going on with Danny and Protocol. We figured out that to get him off the van at the Garden, we had to put the earplugs in first, or he refused to get off. Danny always gave him a carrot at the end gate, so sometimes he went in the ring with orange bits dripping out of his mouth. He was a connector of people. The hotel room in New York had 5 or 6 more people at least sleeping in the floor than we had beds, because everybody came up to see him go. I made a lot of friends. I learned what kind of donuts and coffee Alex Foreman preferred, just to get a little more lunch time at the Garden. I might have implied that he was part saddlebred, so I could hack a little bit longer with that group of people. He was a winner. He brought us together as a family for many years, and those relationships have lasted to this day. Thank you all for recognizing this amazing horse and the team he brought together. Marty? Yep.
Good evening. I am Marty Fawcett. I was the lucky, proud owner of Protocol, and congratulations to all of the other inductees tonight. It is especially nice for me to have dear friends like Danny Robertshaw and Randy Mullins inducted in the same year as my once-in-a-lifetime horse. And thank you to the National Show Hunter Hall of Fame for this incredible honor, and it is so thank you so very much for all of you who voted for him. When I started riding at the age of 8, I was a pony clubber, I fox hunted, and after 2 years of riding, Beverly Burnett was my first instructor, and at the age of 12, I started riding with Danny Robert Shaw and competing in horse shows. I had a great junior career, no super fancy horses, but coming into my last 2 years of juniors, I started looking for a fairly fancy horse to finish my career. So in May of 1986, at the Sedgefield Horse Show in Greensboro, North Carolina, Danny approached me and he said, "There's a very nice horse here. He's already famous. He's done very well. I think you should sit on him." So I did. The schooling ring was always my nemesis. I was a nervous Nellie, and so I think, of course, with everybody watching me try him, I think I jumped maybe a cross rail and a vertical, and I said, "I feel comfortable enough to buy him. That's great." So we'll figure it out later. So I bought him that weekend from Ashley Weaver Hodges, who had a remarkable, successful career with him in the large juniors, and Johnny Barker had great success showing him in the regular working division. He already had great trainers and great riders. So 2 weeks after I purchased my fancy horse, I was accepted at a program in South Carolina called the Governor's School for the Arts, and I would be away for 5 weeks that summer. But I still wanted to qualify for indoors. Enter Scott Hofstetter. What better rider to have show your horse? And thank you, Scott, for qualifying us that first year indoors. So the success I had in my juniors was greater than anything I could have possibly dreamt of as a child. And as Beverly said, I did ride at the Garden twice. And unfortunately, the first year I went off course in the evening class, which I can't believe I'm standing up in front of all of you saying this, but I was mortified. But I came back my last junior year, I won the evening class. I was reserve champion behind my good friend Ashley Kennedy Whitener and her amazing mare Lyric. And so after the awards ceremony, I ran up to my family's box, and Patrick Swayze and his wife were seated in front of my family's box, and Patrick reached out and touched me on the arm and said, "That was beautiful." I have not washed this arm since 1987. So needless to say, I ended my junior career with protocol on a very high note. But, of course, it was in the... But as you all know, it was in the regular working division that protocol was a superstar, and Danny was the rock star rider. They had an amazing connection, and it was one breathtaking round after another. Protocol was a complicated horse, but we really did have a fantastic team that were instrumental in his success. And I'm delighted that Randy Brown is here. She was Protocol's groom and preparer, and I've been teasing her. We've had fun the last couple of days here at Devon. She's now my handler, so which is a tall order. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge two women who began Pro's hunter career. Susan Baginski and her mother, Nancy, Nancy is now 85. I had delightful conversations with both of these women last week, and the history of protocol was actually unfamiliar to me, and I wanted to share a little bit with you. Nancy's husband was was a 2-star general in the Air Force. And they had just been stationed at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. And Nancy was a horse enthusiast. And so wherever the family moved and was stationed, she would ask around and try to get in contact with anybody who could help her buy mostly off-the-track thoroughbreds. So Nancy was put in contact with a woman named Judy Tippett, who took off-the-track thoroughbreds. And Nancy called Judy and said, "Do you have anything for sale?" And she said, "I do have a couple of horses." So Nancy went to Judy's farm and saw Protocol, who was a 4-year-old, sun bleached, turned out in the paddock. He had been there a month, and he raced just once in Chicago. It was an evening race, and when they flipped the lights on, he stopped dead in his tracks. He reared up. The jockey beat him, tried to get him across the finish line. He never finished the race. The owner was furious and sent him to Judy Tippett to unload. So Nancy Baginski heard this story, and after hearing this story, she said, "I will buy him," and for her daughters to ride. So Nancy purchased Protocol for $300. And because she was a military family, she had 5 children, 2 of whom were in college at Penn State. Money was tight, and so she arranged a payment plan with Judy Tippett to pay $50 a month to pay off $300. So the Baginski family owned him for 5 years, started his career, and when the family the general was going to be reassigned, they had to sell him, and he was sold to John Cornack for $5,000. Unfortunately, John had another military child riding with him, Michael Newman. So Michael Newman's father was in the Air Force and then was reassigned to Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So that is how Protocol ended up in the Carolinas, and had a great career with Michael and the Barkers, and then on to me. So when I spoke with Nancy Baginski last week, I had asked her if she ever was able to see Protocol show, and she said yes, she saw him with Susan at Washington with Danny, and Susan warned her. She said, "Now, Mother, when Protocol sets foot in the arena, it will be dead silent, and you will be able to hear a pin drop." And Nancy told me, she said, it was exactly like that, and he just went around so beautifully, and he made me so proud. And he made us all, so many of us, so very proud. Thank you very much for this honor.
Betty Orr is going to induct Scott to do.
Ooh, I gotta take a little deep breath on that. Congratulations to Protocol. Tonight is my privilege to induct a great horse, Scott to do. And really, this is almost reads like a novel. It's kind of a rock and roll theme. His journey to the Hall of Fame began on a very hot day, July day, in Albemarle County, Virginia. Jimmy Lee received a call for about 3 horses that were for sale just down the road or nearby farm. They were all great, and each one was about $15,000. So it sounded like kind of a good deal. So he went and looked, and being the phenomenal horseman he is, and we all know that, he did pick the right one of the 3 braves. He said he proved to be sort of a lucky guy. He had a gut feeling, and this was a very rather thin ex-purchaser, a thoroughbred, of course. And Jimmy said, I think I'll take the thin one. And he was shipped to Belport Farm that afternoon. He said, I had a gut feeling about this horse, and so he took him home. He was very thin, but he had great presence and a wonderful kind eye. Said when I saw his balance, movement, conformation, and his attitude, he was really impressed. However, he did say he was very good-legged, but he was also clean-legged, which probably meant he wasn't very fast at the racetrack, so maybe he would do in the under department, which is possible with a thoroughbred. So it was the total package, and luckily the gut feeling worked out for Jimmy, and on the way home, Tina Turner was singing one of her better songs, that's the rock and roll thing, What's Love Got to Do with It? And so in the one verse she says, got to do, and so he was christened right there before he even got to Belport Farm. Jimmy had another horse before that called Skid It On. That sounds pretty good. So now we've got 2 Marvin Gaye deals in the barn, and the other one worked out, and this was probably going to work out too, I have a feeling. So the new horse's name now becomes Marvin. Marvin Gaye was the writer of the songs. So that's a pretty good name for Scott to do. Jimmy said there was not much training to do, as he was just a natural talent. And the good news is I just kind of try to stay out of their way. There was a little bit of a problem. He was a terrible, terrible eater. And he was thin. And apparently in his racing days he was often that way. So he tried lots of things. He was going to be a show horse. He had to get fat. So Jimmy didn't give up. He thought, okay, I'm going to sort of search around, and he quizzed Champ Huff, a Hall of Famer in this department, a wonderful thing. And Champ said, you know, why don't you start him on a little oat straw, then maybe you'll start to eat that and get sort of the better feeling. He said, as long as you're doing that, hanging that between him and his neighbor so they both munch along and sort of get the idea. So apparently that really did help the predicament, because Jimmy knew this horse was going to be good. He had to get fat. So thanks to Champ, they sort of got him on the way. And he also got some mixed feed that the horse liked. So he was on his way. And as Jimmy said, he eventually became an easy keeper. But now it was time to take him on the road to try this horse out a little bit, get him accustomed to the new life. He'd been a racehorse. So he wasn't shown, he was schooled, he was grazed, he was hand-walked, all the good things that good horsemen like Jimmy does all the time. But he got to hanging out, kind of got the feel of things, and they figured that stuffing with cotton in his ears was kind of his babysitter. And so he stayed on the road and fit right into the routines. Okay, now he doesn't show. Now he's going to Florida for the first time. That's his first stop for Belport Farm as the owner. And sort of an unknown person, Missy Clark, rode him in the first. Pretty good, I'd say, to start out. Really good. Was his great first rider. And he was champion, right off pre-green champion. Didn't show him again until late classes, so he had a lot of time off, a lot of rest, a lot of conditioning. And there had another slightly well-known rider, Katie Monahan, and he was a pre-green champion. That was all for that year. So Jimmy sort of put him away. He said, you know, if you jump horses too many low fences, they'll just probably learn to jump low. So the following year, he started showing in the Green Conformation Division with another wonderful rider, Elizabeth Salter, and then his partner for the rest of his Belport life, Mary Ann Steyer. Climbed aboard, and as they say, the rest is history. He had championships at Keswick, Devon, Kentucky, Lexington, Virginia, Raleigh, and the indoors grand champion at Washington, Madison Square Garden. He showed him, this is a good story, he showed him the models without the cotton in his ears. But with the live music of the garden, Jimmy said, I think he's got to have some cotton. But then he just didn't show himself like he should for the model. Mints and carrots didn't interest him at all. So Jimmy did a little something different. I hope this is true. He bought 2 hamsters. And when the judge came along in the model, he pulled the hamster out, and the horse said it was one hell of a show at that time. Bugged right out. So, you know, I hope that's a true story. But he did really well. He was the Green Conformation champion and the grand champion of the country. As a regular conformation hunter, He repeated his winning ways at the top shows and was again grand champion at Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing. He was champion at every show for 2.5 years. That is an amazing feat. The next chapter in this journey was when the very difficult decision came about selling him. That was a hard thing to come to. The first person that came to try him was Ellen Van Dyke, a wonderful lady who purchased him, and another winning partnership was established. He remains at her barn. She wishes she could have been here tonight, but she said he was Marvin at their barn as well, as name, and said he carried me safely and consistently around the course, allowing us to succeed. His good temperament was the only thing that outshone his great achievements. It is an honor to see him introduced in the Hunter Hall of Fame. Scott to do, wonderful name. You have gone through many ingates in this amazing journey, but the final ingate to the Hall of Fame swings open for you tonight. Would Mary Ann and Jimmy please come up to induct you? Who's got the trophy? Do we have the trophy for you all? Is that all right? It was really my pleasure. You get in there, get yourself in the picture now. Okay. I'll get out of the way.
How long is this going to take?
Would you like to say something?
I don't think.
You don't?
Well, I mean, if I'd known, I was.
She's the champ.
Phew.
There you go.
That's embarrassing.
I can say something if you don't want. Thanks very much. He was a special horse. He was an easy horse. I just led him to the ring, but I had some great riders. And that girl right there, amazing, amazing, amazing. Our next inductee is Mrs. Elizabeth McIntosh. Many of you in this room would not know her, but the few that do know her. She was an amazing owner, one of the very first ones with an amazing, successful stable of the top hunters. And I'm very honored this evening to have her grandson, Mark McIntosh, induct his grandmother.
Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is thank you very much to Mr. Lee, Mrs. Taylor, and Mrs. Orr. I think it's a testament and a tribute to the love and passion they have for not only this organization but the sport to recognize and nominate someone who hasn't been with us for 50 years. So I really, really appreciate it on behalf of my family. Thank you for making this happen, and thank you for all the time and dedication to making it happen. So I've thought a great deal about what I could say about my grandmother. One of the challenges is unfortunately, I was born 2 years after my grandmother passed away, so I was unable to meet her. And so I thought about, in a speech for recognizing someone for the Hall of Fame, it would be traditional to get up and talk about, the names of the horses and all of the, shows that she had won and all of the awards that she had won. We could name horses like the Cad and Sir Saracen, Sun Imp, and a pony named Johnny Cake. But I thought if I thought more about what she would want me to say or what she would hope that I would say, I think it was a lot more about her love and passion for the sport and her love and passion for for the horses. And so what I look at, and as I talk to Mr. Lee about, her being elected into the Hall of Fame and all the memories and stories that I had heard from family members and folks that had worked on the farm, was really about her dedication and about all that she did for the sport. And I think this award for her and this induction is more about the legacy that she left. I think if you look back through the 40s, 50s, and 60s of the hunter, groups in the country, many of the great horses, many of the great horsemen, many of the great riders came through Waverly, which was her farm in Virginia. She started in Cleveland, Ohio at the Chagrin Valley Hunt Club as a young girl, as you saw in one of the pictures. And so I think she worked very hard and tirelessly on trying to make the sport better and on trying to make everybody that came through her organization better. And I think she achieved that, and I think that's why she's being recognized this evening. I also think for her, horses were a family event. I think the pictures that you guys are seeing up here, all of these are family members, so either her daughters, her brothers. Her brother is in the National Horse Racing Hall of Fame, Regan McKinney. So it was a family event that all family, activities and all family things revolved around horses and revolved around the farm. So again, thank you very much on behalf of my cousin Anita, the next generation, Regan and Courtney. We're very grateful and very honored to accept the award from my grandmother.
Slide over this way a little bit. Okay, there you go. Congratulations, that was great. Very well. I'll go right back to Virginia.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. And Bob Crandall will induct our good friend Randy Mullins.
Okay, bear with me everybody, this is definitely not one of my strong suits. It's such an honor to be asked to speak on behalf of Randy. Jack Towell was supposed to do this, but due to the death of Lisa's mother, here I am. Jack's going to definitely pay for this. I'm going to try and do this without the small amount of alcohol Jack may have had. Before he read his speech, I also can't do it at all in the dialect he would have done it in. But Pam Mullins, Randy's amazing wife, helped me with a lot of this. She's here somewhere tonight, I'm not sure what table. There she is. And Randy was born in Helding, West Virginia. In his high school years, he got his father to buy him his first horse. His first horse was called Fancy. Fancy was $30. Randy showed her in the side saddle classes at shows he could afford to go to. He could not afford a trailer, so he taught Fancy to jump in the back of his pickup truck. And off to the shows they would go. True story. In time, Randy would begin his equine career in Wheeling, West Virginia, training and managing Ogilvy Park stables. He showed and trained horses and ponies, including Puppy Love and Peanut Butter. He moved to Germantown, Tennessee in 1981, opened New Venture Farm training and show stables. He showed hunters and jumpers, some of which included Cosmopolitan, Lobo the Wolf, Coppertone, Jesse Ventura, Hop to It, Play Street, and Symbol Run. Randy became a national and international large R judge. He was a judge and a horse trainer for over 47 years. He has judged all the major shows in the U.S. and Canada, including Capital Challenge, Palm Beach, Harrisburg, Washington, the National at Madison Square Gardens. He also judged the USCF medal finals and the ASPCA finals. In addition, he also judged the Canadian finals. Judging brings up another one of Jack's stories, one of his favorites that he'd love to tell. They were at Capital Challenge several years back, and they were judging a pretty huge equitation class, over 60 kids in it. This one girl came in and really missed the first jump. The 5 other judges' scores were 60, 62, 63, 65, 64, and Randy gave an 85. Jack looked over at him and said, "What are you doing?" Randy said, "What happened?" Jack said, "Didn't you see the first jump? She missed the first jump." Randy looked back at him and said, "No, I didn't see it either." So I also called Susie Humes, and she was very close to Randy. And Susie said her stories are a little R-rated or worse and would not be appropriate for this evening, so we passed. So many people have had nothing but the best things to say about Randy, the kindest words, all saying how nice, fair, and honest he has been his whole life, a rarity in our horse show world. Barney Malice also used to ride with Randy, and he told a story that Randy gave him a 4-foot horse in Florida one year to show. The horse struggled around this huge course. It wasn't very scopy to begin with. When Barney came out, Randy looked at him and told him what a great job he had done. He had no idea he could jump a course that big. The jumps were 4'6", which Barney almost passed out on at that moment. On a personal note, though, Randy's a very dear friend. He's been an incredible friend to me, as a matter of fact. I've been so lucky to be able to visit, call, and talk with Randy over the last several months. We had a dinner just in April where we awarded this plaque to Randy at his home, and a bunch of us got together to do this. It was a very emotional thing for Randy, and it was very special for him. I cannot tell you how much respect and care I have for this person. He's struggling with a horrible disease and handles it with the most amazing grace and spirit and integrity that he has had during our entire friendship. Randy's ability to still care for others in front of himself is unmatchable. He displays bravery and gratitude every day of his life. He would want you all to know that he appreciates your thoughts, this award, and the people who made it happen. Hats off to my dear friend and fellow horseman, Randy. Is Pam Mullins here? Pam, you come on up.
And I just want to say, you're all right, how honored he is to be part of this and how special it is. And it cheered him up and brightened his life. And he's just very blessed to know that so many people love and care for him. While you're alive, you know this, and it's special, and he thanks everybody.
I'm going to ask Paul Jewell to come up and induct his very good friend, Mike Reinheimer.
Thank you.
Well, this is an honor. I was asked a little while ago, I don't know, half hour ago, if I would stand up here and do the honor. This is a special moment in my life. It's an honor to induct my best friend, Mike Reinheimer, into the hall. Most of you people in here know me. Mike was the hardest person I've ever worked with. Day in, day out, we've been trudged through pouring rain at the pony finals, trying to get horses in at Madison Square Garden, doing all the right things, and watching him raise his two daughters. So I've been through all that with my best friend, Mike Reinheimer. It all started with Mike years ago. I started a system with him with course designing, managing horse shows, and his ability to teach me is what I am today. He's got me the distinction of working at Harrisburg and some major horse shows across the East and West Coast. He was a great mentor in all aspects of the horse business. And then all of a sudden, Mike made a change. He didn't want to manage horse shows anymore. He wanted to do what his love. He changed his life to teach, to train, and mentor. And I believe he did an excellent job over the last many years with Madison Hill and Amanda. Everyone around him, he made them better. And that, I believe that in the heart, my heart. I think Mike's probably touched almost everybody in this building, and I think he's made everybody better. He would be proud of all the accomplishments of the students of yesterday and of today. Being grand champion junior hunter this weekend, I know he's looking down, cheering everybody on. To accept this award for Mike is Hillary, Madison, and Amanda. Thank you. And I wore pink in honor of Mike.
I know Mike would be so honored to be inducted into this group with the most amazing horsemen and horsewomen. And I just want to say thank you to you all, because I know this would mean the world to him.
Thank you so much.
Our final inductee tonight, Danny Robertshaw. Buckle your seatbelts. Here comes Susie.
That was fabulous. So here you are, waiting for this last induction. So where to begin about Danny? He was born in Rhode Island and moved to Wilmington, North Carolina at the age of 3. In Wilmington, North Carolina, his unbelievable riding career began. He started riding with a local woman who had a huge farm. He was 10 years old. He would lead the ponies up to the top of the ridge, through the rivers, through the ponds, through the fields. He would hop on them any way he could, and the ponies would run back to the barn as fast as they could and throw them on the ground. He did this every day. Thus began his riding career by the seat of his pants. His ponies' names were Tiny Tim and Valentine and Go-Go. Finally, for Christmas, his parents gave him a pony. He started riding English in a Western saddle and jumping. That particular pony cost $150 with the tack. His name was Ready Go. Love that name. He then took clinics from Russ Wather Sr. for 3 years, all based on a 3-day program, and he did about 3 clinics a year. Again, learning to ride by the seat of his pants. Then came Jack Goodwin. Danny was 15, and many of those customers that Jack Goodwin had started watching Danny ride, and they started asking him to teach them and ride their horses. He never got paid in those years, but was helping all the customers at the age of 15. He started riding with Nora Cook at 17, and Nora had spotted him at a horse show and spoke to his mother about that maybe he needed some extra help. So that year he took a 5-year-old named Principal's Interest that he had made up on his own, and he went in the fall of that year to the HSA medal finals. He was training with Judy Richter at that point. Judy tells the story that she never saw Danny's outfit until they were walking the course. A very difficult course at best. He had on a plaid sports coat that really did not fit him, nor did his boots fit him. But he went 10th in the order, so there was no room to be able to change the outfit. So off he went on his 5-year-old class, did the medal finals, and Judy told me if it hadn't been for the coat, he might have made the second round. She knew then that Danny was an amazing rider. Danny's first concern has always been his horses. As Jack Towell said, he has never seen Danny lose his temper on a horse or a student. Danny has never been late to the ring, no matter how many horses he had to ride. He's always had a sense of humor. At Blowing Rock one year, they counted that he did 200 rounds in one day. Jack has such respect for Danny, as he's been at the same shows with him for many years. And he asked me today if Danny thought that he had ever beaten him in one class. The list of horses who have made him famous is long. Absolute, Who's on First, The News, Harvard Yard, When Tara Rings, Arc de Triomphe, Winning Style, Bibb and Tucker, Parodi, Silent Running, Isle of Hope, Island Heart, Clear Cut, Rainbow Bridge, Heathrow, Most Wanted, and Classified. But the two that stand out, the first one is Lestat, who was champion at Harrisburg his first year green year with Danny. Danny was also reserved that same year on Harvard Yard. Then at Madison Square Garden, Lestat was reserved. And that same year, Bibb and Tucker was champion at Washington in the first year. The second horse we've already spoken about tonight, but I will touch on Protocol and Danny as a pair. They were probably one of the most famous hunter combinations of our time. Believe me, I know, because I had to show against them with my rider Brian Flynn and Gabriel, and we were second. In 1989, Danny and Protocol won 19 regular working hunter championships, including a clean sweep of Devon, Harrisburg, Washington, Madison Square Garden. Protocol and Danny are being inducted in the same year, and I think that's so fantastic. Marty had started a challenge trophy called the Pin-Up Challenge Trophy, which was started to be given to the champion at all 3 indoor horse shows. It is not awarded every year. Danny's dedication to the licensed official committee has been so influential on our big R judges, but more importantly on our small R judges. His awards are numerous: USEF Emerson Burr Award, USHJ Lifetime Achievement Award, and the Chronicle of the Horseman of the Year Award. He was also inducted to the North Carolina Hall of Fame. He has judged all the top shows: Devon, Pennsylvania National, Madison Square Garden, the Royal Winter Fair, the ASPCA Finals and the Regionals, the USHJ International Hunter Derby Finals, and the USHJ Green Incentive Finals. I asked Scott Stewart to be part of tonight, and Scott said this, quote, "When I started out as a young professional, I would watch from the sidelines and study the way Danny rode, schooled and showed his horses. I wanted to emulate his style and strive to be the horseman and professional he was. One of the biggest advantages I received in my early career was when Danny started to help me with my horses. Danny's influence changed the course of my professional life, and I cannot thank him enough for taking a chance on me. His impact resonated for years after and is still the foundation of who I am now. To this day, the way I ride, in the show ring, to the type of horses I pick out, are a direct reflection on Danny. There isn't a more deserving, gracious, kind, and hard-working recipient that has devoted his life to bettering our sport. It's a privilege to be part of this induction, unquote. Danny's close friend Claudia said that Danny was and is a horse whisperer. He connects with the horse. He is in tune with his horses, and they love him. She feels Danny has the same connection with the dogs that he and Ron have rescued, which is a tribute to both Danny and Ron. They have made all of our lives richer and more empathetic to our rescue animals. I, for one, am going to dispute Danny's horse whispering with the dogs. I got a dog, one of their first Katrina dogs, and he was about this big and his legs were about this long. And I said to Ron, now before you put him in the van to send him up to me, I want you to teach him to lead on a leash. And so out in the field, Danny went with my dog, and the dog flipped over 3 times, crashed on the ground. Danny walked into the house, looked at Ron, said, "He's all trained." He never went on a leash. So I asked Kenny Wheeler about Danny here at this horse show. And his statement was that he is a very good horseman. He always conducts himself well. He is one of our top judges. And win or lose, Danny is always the same. Danny has believed that he has had the best team behind him. That all of us should remember that we do what we do because, which has been, our industry is, what we do is being noted as a business or an industry. But what it really is a sport. The love of the horse is why we all do this. So let's raise our glasses to a remarkable man, friend to all horses and dogs, and an inspiration to everyone who rides at any level.
I don't know what to say at this point. Thank you very much for the committee and Jimmy and Carol all the work that everyone has done for this. And I truly appreciate the honor here tonight. Susie, I thank you. That was more kindness than I've ever known from you. And I'm not sure where you got some of it, but anyway, it was really good. Kenny and Scott, thank you, and Betsy tonight, everyone. But I so appreciate everything everyone's done, and I have to say, through all the years, I've learned from almost every person here that ever rode, ever showed. I spent hours in the schooling areas, and I learned so much from every person because that's the only way I really had to learn, and because I really didn't have a formal education in all of this. That's why I trained dogs so well, as Susie mentioned. And I really couldn't have put more effort into one for her than I could for that one. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. I'm so honored. And I know everyone wants to go home, so thank you very much and have a great evening.
Quite an evening, wonderful evening. thank you all so much for coming. As I said in the very beginning, lots of memories. And I often say at the end of this dinner, I so hope that you all will go out and make some more memories for us. Thanks very much.